So my Facebook news feed is blowing up. Sorry if and the messages that keep beeping in. But I posted a couple of things on Facebook. And I don't know if I'm going to put this video on there or not, because I just don't know how clean I can be with my language regarding today's Senate confirmation, or the Judiciary Committee confirming Brett Kavanaugh as the next Justice to the United States Supreme Court. First, let me say this. If you're on the committee, you fucking vote. Feinstein, Leahy, Whitehead. Whitehead got up, picked his stuff, and was like, nah, I'm out of here after all this. I'm not going to... he voted. No. It was 11 to 10. But seriously, they want an FBI investigation. So I'm going to lay something out for y'all right quick here. The man has been a member of the judiciary for a very long time. He worked for George W. Bush. He's been, he's appointed to courts. He works in the second most powerful court in this nation. They're bringing up allegations, a 36-year-old allegation from 1982, when a woman that can only be described as, insincere, to me. I mean, she's smiling and laughing, but she was afraid to show up before that committee, afraid to fly, despite her 70,000 frequent flyer miles. This woman sat there and threw accusations at this man, this doctor lady, only after he was appointed to the United States Supreme Court. Now, where was she in all his other appointments up along the way? Where was she, applications to law school? They do a background check, folks. I know, because I got a DUI once when I was applying. They do applications for this kind of stuff. Background checks, for these applications. At no point in time was Christina Blaisley Ford's allegations brought up in any of his previous appointments, in any of his other offices held, bench seats, any of that, because he had to become a judge before becoming, a federal judge. He had to be at some state level or local level. He was probably a prosecutor just prior to his state or local level judgeship. Then he gets into the federal level and gets appointed. They're not elected in that there. They point to his emotion with being accused of sexual assault in high school, gang rape in the D.C. area, and he gets downright pissy. And I'm going to tell you, that is all they have been chewing on. He's a sexual predator. He assaulted somebody. He raped somebody. He did this. He did that. Now, look, I'm not far right. I'm not far left. I'm pretty much middle of the road. Because I'm going to tell you, there needs to be a diversity of opinion on the United States Supreme Court. But the problem with the Democrats right now is they don't want diversity. It's good to have a far-left, totally pro-Roe v. Wade person on our Supreme Court and a far-right, anti-Roe v. Wade person on our Supreme Court. But let me tell you something. These people love to bitch about Roe v. Wade's been the law since the 70s. Accept it. Well, the Second Amendment has been the law of the land since we had a land. Accept it. These are the things that they debate, and they go on about public opinion on Supreme Court justices. The vote's been sent to the Senate floor. We need an FBI investigation. All right, I'll give you this. You have the FBI investigate those 200-plus Democrat congressmen who paid out over I think it was $17 million or maybe it was $68 million in hush money for their sexual assault allegations. You have them reopen investigations into the rapes of women that Bill Clinton committed, the murders that Hillary Clinton orchestrated, the dereliction of duty, and ultimately, because of his indifference, depraved indifference, second-degree murder, and treason of Barack Obama. If we need to go, they want to attack the right. The right is always the left attacking the right. And when the right fires back, all of a sudden they're wrong. The left paid protesters to come in and protest Judge Kavanaugh. There was an envelope being handed to an attorney sitting next to Christina Blasey Ford. Now, I'm not saying Dr. Ford necessarily knew about these payments, but I'm also not saying that Superman can't really fly because he doesn't exist. You only come forward. They had 80, I think he said 81 days. They've been since President Trump nominated Brett Kavanaugh. She didn't come forward until July. This is now September. She sent a letter to Senator Feinstein, however you want to say that decrepit old woman's name, and she needs to get the hell out of office. Everything comes out of her mouth is a lie. Leahy is just another insurrective son of a bitch. And don't get me started on that Whitehead moron. You know, there are some reasonable voices on the left and the right. Why do they appoint the most radical dumbasses? And I'll tell you what this is. This is all a shot at Trump. They're mad that because when justice stepped down, when a justice died and President Obama would have had an opportunity to appoint a second justice, they delayed the vote until Trump got elected. Now they're trying to delay the vote until midterm elections because the Democrats think they actually have a chance. People say, oh, well, it's people like Brett Kavanaugh that, believe all women. Believe all women without investigation. And if you don't do that, then you need to think of your mother, your daughter, your sister, any female in your family. Fair enough. But if you're going to do that, then I want you to think about your father, your brother, your uncle, and your male members of your family, because at any given time, a woman can fabricate a sexual assault claim, fabricate rape. They can sit on something, they could get dumped by a dude, or a guy could not call her back, and it happens more often than not. But while we're on the subject, let's talk about this for a second. Why is it funny when female teachers molest male students, take advantage of male students? We don't hear nothing about that from the left. It's all about the men raping the women. Why is it we don't hear about women in power abusing their subordinates and forcing them into sexual acts? And don't say it doesn't happen. It happens more often. Men are too ashamed to report it. So you're going to sit there and tell me that if Feinstein or Pelosi or one of them, Hillary Clinton, which I seriously doubt, she would have to rape somebody. What if somebody that came forward and accused them? Would the left be screaming to high heaven then? No, they wouldn't. The left said that, sex happens when it came to Bill Clinton. But now all of a sudden, Brett Kavanaugh, and let's get this straight here. It was 1982. He was in high school. He was at a party, according to her account. She doesn't remember where the party was. She barely remembers who all was there, except that, she remembers all the details about Brett Kavanaugh. But she was blinding drunk. She was 15. She couldn't drive. She was afraid to tell her parents because she was at a party with boys, no parents at the party, and she was drinking alcohol. And she got so drunk, everything got fuzzy. What if this is what happened? Maybe Brett Kavanaugh was at the party. Maybe Christina Blasey went outside because she was so drunk she passed out because she's 15 years old, so she's either a freshman or a sophomore. And that's typical of freshmen and sophomore at high school parties. I know, I attended a few back in the day. And they go, she went out and passed out in the yard. And maybe Brett Kavanaugh went out to the tree line to take a piss because maybe the bathroom was occupied. And she happened to be passed out in the tree line because she was so drunk she didn't know what she was doing. And she hears the pee hitting the ground and she kind of wakes up. Maybe some splashes her in the face off the ground because, after all, are you looking for bodies laying on the ground when you go into the wood line to take a leak? And she wakes up and she screams because she sees his dick and he's peeing and she's afraid he's going to pee on her. And he doesn't have time to put his penis away, but he's done peeing and he covers his mouth. He's like, hey, what the fuck's wrong with you? I mean, seriously, folks, you want to talk about investigation, that's never going to come out if that was the case. Then they have people that say they were the perpetrators. There's no statute of limitations on sexual assault in Maryland, folks. That's where this took place. So these guys coming forward are now facing criminal charges if the FBI investigation that I do believe may actually happen, maybe it won't. But if it does happen and these two guys admitted to it, you got a confession, investigation over, and any cop and any investigator will tell you that. Do I believe Brett Kavanaugh is a sexual predator? Absolutely not. Does the left want so badly to get Trump out of office? Do they want to sabotage Trump's administration so badly that they are willing to shoot down every nominee that he appoints? Because here's the thing, midterm elections don't mean shit. The presidential election does. And if the American people continue to see the discourse from the left toward the right as it pertains to the president of our country. Yes, he is your president. They will not win the presidency in 2020. I'm not saying Trump will, but I'm telling you Democrats will not win the presidency in 2020 if this discourse continues. And here's the thing. Don't forget, midterm elections, well, Congress, or is it Senator? Congressmen only serve 2 years in office. Senators serve 6. So the congressmen that are being voted in this year that could be Democrats that could sway the vote in Congress could be voted out as easily in the very next election when they elect another Republican president. Senators that are up for election this year have been in office since Obama was in office, so if they are voted out, chances are they're Democrats. I mean, wake the fuck up, people. Midterm elections, it can sway a few things. It ain't swaying this. You know, you cannot leave that seat open for all those fucking years on the Supreme Court. It just doesn't happen. To want an administration to fail as badly as the Democrats have done during this administration is wishing that America fails. They want somebody on the bench that's so far left-minded as they are that it can control the American people. So I present you this. We're talking about investigating Judge Kavanaugh. Well, let's say they give it a week before they take the vote to the Senate floor and investigate Judge Kavanaugh. And let's say for 1 second the investigation comes up inconclusive, but it doesn't, something that makes the Senate vote him down. Here's what I suggest. That the next Supreme Court nominee that I will mention is forced to turn over all tax records, salaries, birth certificates, everything. A full FBI, full-on investigation into their past up to all the way back to their birth is conducted. And if the nominee agrees to it, then that nominee should be Barack Obama. How about that? Then what would the left do? Their fucking heads would explode. Because do I believe he was born in Hawaii? I'm starting to question some of it. I believed it when he was elected the first 2 times, but now there's just some things that have come to light that I don't necessarily agree with, like his little Barry Soetoro or whatever the fuck his fake ID was there at Columbia. Democrats don't want to hear that. And I'm probably a racist for saying it because he's our only black president that we've ever had, despite the fact that I keep mentioning the fact that color should not matter when it comes to the leader of a nation. Sex should not matter when it comes to the leader of a nation. What should come is America first. Are you an American? And if you're not an American, fuck off. Put America first. And that's what Trump's done, and it pisses the left off. Liberalism is a mental disorder. If you have it, there are steps outside of counseling, if you refuse counseling, to take. And that is to take your liberal ass to one of those countries that believes in the crap that you keep spewing, that sewage and that rhetoric, that everything that you put out on social media and news media and everything else. Take that shit and move it to a country that's more befitting of your ideals. Socialism and, separatism and all that. Because that's what the liberals believe. Take that shit to one of them other countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, East Africa, Somalia, Egypt, places like that. Go down to Venezuela and just see how fucking successful you are down there. You fucking bitches. And if you're not willing to do that, then may I suggest a new mouthwash called Smith & Wesson. Because that's what you need. If you're not willing to put your money where your mouth is, if you're not willing to actually stand up for your beliefs, unlike Colin Kaepernick who took a knee, believe in something even if it means you remember nothing. Sacrifice. This whole fucking thing is a joke. The liberals are a joke. The Democrat Party is a joke. And unfortunately, it's been indoctrinated into our education system. So now it's not an education system, but a system of indoctrination. So this country will continue to decline, just like every empire that came before it. There's a rise and a fall of every empire. And each empire has gotten exponentially shorter than the one that preceded it. The United States is about due for its fall. And the way that that's going to happen is if we, during midterm elections, put in more liberals, then put in another liberal president, and then more liberals, because what they're eventually going to do is they're going to get down, and America as we know it is going to be no longer gone, and the Constitution of the United States is going to be torn into pieces, and we're going to have a civil war. Mark my words. I guessed that it would come around 2040, 2045. Now I'm thinking it's going to be sometime in the 2020s, and I hope it does come in my time. so that my children may live in peace in theirs.